In this video, let's look at the Lewis structure of ions. So let's start out with oxygen. Why oxygen? Well, it's pretty easy, so we're going to look at it first. So oxygen natively has 6 valence electrons, which is why when it forms an ion, it forms O2-, because you want to add 2 electrons in order to get the magical 8, the octet, which is going to be so vital when we're talking about Lewis structures. So O2- means we added 2 electrons to its valence shell. So what does oxygen now look like? Remember prior, we started out by drawing 6 electrons. We had 6 electrons in the atom, but now that it forms an ion, we're adding 2 electrons to it. So you literally just add 2 electrons to its Lewis structure. And then one other thing, in order for it to be correct, is you need to show that you have now put a charge on the atom. And so to do that, you put brackets, and then you put the charge outside of brackets. If you draw the Lewis structure without the brackets, if it's ionic, it's wrong. So anytime there's a charge on the atom or the ion or the group of atoms, you have to put brackets and you have to put the charge that is accompanied of that group. So I hope when you realize that I'm saying group, I'm referring to polyatomic ions. They're still ions, so they still need the brackets or it's wrong. So brackets, charge. What about something like lithium? Lithium has 1 valence electron. So does it gain 7 electrons or does it lose the 1? I hope you remember that lithium loses the 1 to become positively charged. So if we go from the Lewis structure of lithium, where you had 1 electron, we just lost that electron to become our lithium ion. So what does the Lewis structure look like? It looks like this, where you can see the atomic symbol is in the middle and then the brackets with the charge on the outside. But since in the elemental form we had 1 and we lost it, this form for the ionic is shown with no electrons around the outside. Sure, now it has a satisfied octet, but you're not going to draw all those 8 electrons around it because it started out with 1 and you lost it. Keep this same form, just put the brackets around it and a positive charge. What about fluorine? Let's do fluorine next. So fluorine, it originally had 7 valence electrons, which are shown denoted around the symbol for fluorine. Whenever fluorine becomes an ion, it's going to become F- because it gains an electron to have 8 electrons in its outer shell. So when it gains electrons, just put an extra electron on it, put brackets around it, and put the negative charge. And you just drew the Lewis structure for this ionic compound. Let's do one more. Magnesium. So magnesium was 2+, right? Because it's in the group 2. It wants to lose 2 electrons. So if we drew the magnesium thing, it would now look like magnesium having lost 2 with a 2+ on the outside. So it's as simple as drawing the Lewis structure for the element, and then it's just take away electrons, add electrons, and then put brackets around it, put the charge outside of the brackets. And if you do that, you'll correctly draw the Lewis structure for ions.